Get off my kids. No, it's get off my lawn, you kids. What in the world is going on with Gen Z? Are we all just a bunch of old fuddy-duds who don't understand them? And is there any hope for Gen Z? We're going to be talking about that today, and we're going to have an awesome special guest today on the Brian Hirsch Show. Well, greetings, everybody. I hope this video finds you well, or this podcast finds you well, wherever you may be. Hopefully, maybe you're driving in your car or sitting in your office or at your computer on your phone watching the show, and all is well with you. Today, we're going to be talking about a subject that is often the conversation among talk shows and media and news and around water coolers. And that is what in the world is going on with Gen Z. Now, here's what I know. Before Gen Z, there were millennials, and it doesn't seem to be, to me, all that long ago that people were complaining about how awful the millennials are and how they're just staying at home and just playing video games in their mom's basement. They don't want to move out. They don't want to own anything. And before that, everybody complained about my generation, Gen Xers, that we were a bunch of slackers and that we were a bunch of losers, didn't have a positive outlook on life. And before us, there were the boomers, and everybody said they were a bunch of lazy hippies who had no hope. And it seems to me, as long as there has been time, there has been an older generation complaining about a younger generation. But here's the thing. There are some things that are a little concerning about Gen Z. I'm going to bring in on the stream here my screen. And for those of you who are listening in your car or whatever on the podcast, I'm just going to go over this. But here's some statistics on Gen Z. First of all, Gen Z is defined as Americans born between 1997 and 2012. And there are currently 68 million Gen Zers living in the United States. That's a very large segment of our population of about 330 million Americans. Almost 70 million of them are Gen Z. And an interesting statistic here, 64% of them use Instagram at least once per day. Full confession, Instagram is one of my least favorite apps, but that's where the kids are that and TikTok, I suppose. That's where they're communicating. And for Gen Z, climate change is their greatest fear. That's an interesting statistic. I believe that's probably purely a concoction of the media. How would they even know about climate change otherwise? And this statistic is one that jumped out at me, that Gen Z is more likely to receive therapy or mental health treatment than any other generation. Now, I suppose part of the reason for that is because they've had to go through this pandemic during the most formative years of their life. I personally have friends who are Gen Zers that missed their high school graduation. There are so many that missed out on having any opportunity for a college scholarship in athletics because they didn't have a sports team their senior year of high school. And so there's a lot going on with this generation. And I suppose again, this is common that for older folks, you get worried and you say, wow, there's some trends going on that we don't like with the kids today. But here today to expand on this, to give us more insight, is a friend of mine that I met actually at our country club. He's a fellow member of our club who is the athletics director and the head football coach at Victor Valley College. And so I'd like everybody to welcome to the Brian Hirsch Show, Coach Artie Allen. Coach, how are you today?
I'm doing well. Thank you, Brian. Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
Listen, man, you're just a wonderful man, and I've had the great opportunity to get to know you a little bit, like to get to know you more. But Artie, help our audience know who you are.
Yeah.
Where did you grow up?
Yeah, so I grew up here in the Inland Empire. So I was born in Los Angeles, and my mother moved us to the IE, specifically Rialto, San Bernardino area, when I was about 6 years old or so. And so from there all the way up through high school and my first 2 years of college, I was in the IE,
Where
everywhere from
where did
San
you go to high
Bernardino.
school?
I went to Rialto High School,
Gotcha.
Bloomington High School my senior year. I was obviously into sports, and so my senior year move to Bloomington High School was sports influenced.
Yeah. Okay. And your primary sport was football.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So I played basketball growing up since I was really young, and then I ended up moving on to football after realizing that I probably wasn't going to be the tallest person in the world,
Right.
and
Yeah.
I had a little speed on me, and I like physicality, so football ended up being my thing.
You were a wide receiver.
I was, yeah.
Yeah.
I played wide receiver and played some running back a little bit in high school, but other than that, I played wide receiver.
And then you got a scholarship to go on and play college ball.
Yeah. Yeah, so I spent 2 years at Chaffey College down in Rancho Cucamonga, and I got a scholarship from there to New Mexico Highlands University, which is a Division II school in Las Vegas, New Mexico.
Las Vegas, New Mexico. Yeah, when I
Yeah,
found out that you went to college there with the general manager of the club, Darnell Crowder, who I'm going to have on, and we're going to talk about club life and the advantages to being a member of a club. But it's just such a small world because I told you, I spent the first 20 years of my adult life in the nonprofit world over in New Mexico.
yeah.
And one of my stops was in Tucumcari, New Mexico, which is in the
Mhm.
same region as Las Vegas. And actually, the two towns have a little bit of a rivalry. I didn't know. I don't know if you knew that. Yeah, like they're the high schools when they play each other, they kind of don't like each other.
Yeah, two of the smallest towns you can find, right? But yeah, there's definitely a little rivalry going on with those two schools or
What
areas.
was your major when you were in college?
Kinesiology.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, very good. And so, did you go on to? Did you have to do some graduate work as well?
Yeah, yeah. So after I finished my bachelor's degree, um, or actually going back, I went back to New Mexico Highlands to coach actually. And
Really?
so yeah, yeah. So I went back there in 2010, and that's when I started the master's program there at New Mexico Highlands as well. So I got my master's also in kinesiology.
Wonderful. And so, what led you then into coaching? Did you go immediately? I mean, did you stay there in Las Vegas from the time you graduated, or?
No, so I finished there about 2005, and that's when I ended up coming back home here to Rialto area. I actually got into doing some property management type work. So
Hmm.
I was the person responsible for helping find the tenants of properties and things of that nature. And so I would show them homes that they wanted to rent or was interested in renting and things of that nature. And so I was doing that for a little while and realized that I didn't want to do that for that much longer. And I was obviously always into sports, and so my buddy actually got a job as a head girls basketball coach at Carter High School in Rialto, California. And I went over there with him, and that was my first coaching job. Was coaching JV girls basketball
Wow.
in 2008, and
Wow.
then that next spring, that same school at Carter High School hired a new football coach, and that coach had heard I played ball and I was coaching and things, and so he reached out to me, and I was on his staff for 2 years after that before I ended up going back to my alma mater to coach at New Mexico Highlands, which was a really interesting story. That one there, I had just been contacting the head coach, sending emails, trying to reach out. Didn't really get a whole lot of response back. So I literally just showed up. I just went. I knew that there were a couple of coaches that I had played with that were on that staff, and they were encouraging me to come. But the head coach wasn't very responsive. But I was going to do the master's program anyway. So I just said, you know what, I'm going there no matter what. And if you need a coach, I'll work for free. And
wow.
So that's what I did. My first college job, I was a volunteer receiver coach.
Is that right? And then before we get you back here to California, did you fall in love with the Mexican food over there like I did?
Green chili, man. Green chili is everywhere. A lot of people don't realize that. You can go to McDonald's and get a green chili cheeseburger over there. So, the green chili chicken enchiladas was something that became one of my favorites.
Is that your jam?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. So I'm going to do this for you. My wife makes the best, both red and green, but we do the green chili chicken here.
Yeah.
And so I'll have her hook you up.
I would love that. I would love that.
So you came full circle back to Chaffee then as a coach.
Yeah, so I was there at New Mexico Highlands. They had a coaching staff change. I stayed there with the new staff that spring of 2011, and I ended up being moved over to defense, which was good for me. I learned a little bit coaching DBs, and then an opportunity opened up at Arizona Western College, which is a junior college in Yuma, Arizona. And so I went there for a short time, and then ended up making my way back to California after that. And eventually going to Chaffee College to coach there as well in 2013.
Yeah, when you and I first met, you were still at Chaffee, and then the opportunity opened up for you up here at Victor Valley College, where you became the head coach. That was only, 2 or 3 years ago?
Yeah, so I was at Chaffee from 2013, and then I left there and came actually to Oak Hills High School here in the high desert. And I was there as the offensive coordinator the year that we ended up winning the CIF championship that year. And then the next year I was the head coach there before going back to Chaffee in 17, 18, 19, all the way up to 21, where I was able to take this position here.
And so you became the head coach at VVC and then became the athletics director there.
Yeah, a lot of transition. It's kind of a story of kind of my career is kind of being thrusted into things and having to take on things that weren't necessarily I envisioned happening, and they just kind of took place, right? So I was 2021 named the interim head football coach here at Victor Valley College, and knowing that there was going to be an opportunity at a full-time position here. I was actually still working in Hesperia Unified School District teaching there while I was the interim coach here. And so when that opportunity opened up, it became the director of athletics / head football coach position. And pretty quickly, myself, my boss, who his name is Art Lopez, he's the VP of Student Services here, as well as our superintendent president, Dr. Daniel Walden. We all got together and started talking about athletics and how things work. And, I was able to kind of show some of the things that some of the other schools around us are doing and how athletic programs are typically structured. And we all came up with the plan that I would be phased into being the athletic director full time and to hire a new football coach, which is where we are now.
Wow.
So I'll no longer be coaching football. I'll be the athletic director here, really responsible for just improving our athletic program overall and really gaining the trust of the community that, you can send your young men and women here and they'll be coached, they'll be educated, and, we can help them find a 4-year scholarship if that's their path or whatever it is that they want to do. So
gotcha. Okay. Well, and you're a millennial, right? Your
age
group. Yeah. So you've heard, negativity about your generation.
Mm-hmm.
And now here we are. And my son is also a millennial. I'm hoping to have him on maybe next week, kind of as a part two
Yeah.
on this. Is there any hope for Gen Z? Because he's working again in the nonprofit world, working with junior high and high school students over in southeastern New Mexico.
Yeah.
And he and I have talked a little bit about some of the challenges that that he faces and working with those kids, and that Gen Zers face. Tell us a little bit about your experience in working with these young people, and specific to Gen Z, some of the challenges that they're facing, and some of the things you've had to deal with in coaching them and working with them.
Yeah, so I think that there's two different I guess Gen Z groups that I would kind of discuss, right? So prior to COVID, I was obviously working with Gen Z young men and women, and then after COVID. So prior to COVID, I think some of the biggest challenges had a lot to do with instant gratification,
Yeah.
instant um, satisfaction, instant results, quite honestly. And I think that really stems from the transition of social media, which, with social media, obviously there's good and bad. I love social media. I heard you talk about Instagram being your least favorite. I'm not, I mean, I'm on there and primarily from recruiting purposes, right?
Yeah.
It's because that's where these young men and women are,
Yes, they
and
are.
so
They are,
it's been
for sure.
It's been a huge push with me taking over the department here to increase our social media presence and to get better online and things of that nature. But when you have social media and you see others doing things that maybe they're things that they are doing, maybe they're things that they're not doing, but they look really cool or they look really exciting, and you see young people with things that may cost a lot of money, and who knows, maybe they rented it, maybe it's their friends, maybe it's something else, but everyone wants to go get it now, and
Right.
so I think some of the challenges with some of the young men and women that I've worked with prior to COVID just had to do with them just really kind of not being able to work for certain things compared to previous generations, right? Like mine. And I know people are going to say that my generation didn't work as hard as the generation prior to me, etc. But I felt like if a coach told me to do something, I did it, and there was no questions asked. I just did it. I think as I began to start coaching, the why was always something that was a question that was asked. And with that being said, it made me better. I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it's instead of me taking the approach of it's because I said so, I think it made me take a dive deep into my own coaching and my own teaching and my own, mentoring, and to be able to explain that why to them and not be offended by the fact that they want to know why, because I think, like I said, back in the day, it was, you just go do this and don't ask me why.
Right.
And, I think nowadays that's not going to cut it. If you want to build the trust of these young men and women nowadays, you have to be able to explain the why to them.
Right, because they can within, and so the technology is both awesome and awful.
Correct. Yes.
But they can
absolutely.
within just a few seconds, I can just my phone set up and just, hey Google, what is the definition of quantum physics?
Mm-hmm.
And here it is, right? It's working. You could probably hear it in the background. It's stop. Hey Google, stop. Got to tell it to stop now. But the point is that they can within nanoseconds find out the answers. And so I guess that puts a little pressure on us, right? The onus is on us to be prepared and not just expect blind, but we need to have rationale, be able to explain in a way for them to understand. I think that so much of what's going on with not just Gen Zers, but see, here's the difference. Okay. So I've got this guy and so do you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I have to confess, I'm on my phone all the time.
All the time. Yeah.
Okay. But here's the difference: Gen Zers have never known anything else.
That's all they know. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so there's a attention deficit, right? An inability maybe to. So have you ever read the 21 Laws of Leadership by John Maxwell?
I have not,
Okay, it's a great book.
but I'm familiar with John Maxwell. I've heard him speak. I'm in tune with a lot of stuff that he's done.
Okay, well, I'm going to get you a copy of the book. But the third chapter, I'm bringing my leadership team through this at our local church. The third law is the law of process.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, I've got a quote from it I'll give you. And this just speaks pretty dramatically to what you're talking about with the need for instant gratification.
Yeah.
It says, see what a person is doing every day, day after day, and you'll know that who that person is and what he or she is becoming.
Yeah.
The law of process says there's no right now, even though that's what we've all been conditioned and the machines
Mm-hmm.
have made it worse.
Mm-hmm.
The truth is the pathway to success and becoming whoever it is, whether it's be financially successful or owning a home or having a solid marriage or good relationships, whatever, that there is no instant shortcut to success or being a great football player.
No, not at all. And
Yeah.
really, when you hear a lot of people speak, you hear like the Nick Sabans of the world and all these different people. The process is what is talked about, right? And I think it's just like with learning golf. It really ties into that because uh, you want that result of hitting a good ball, you want that result of playing a good round or whatever, but it's the steps that you're taking to get there. And when you learn to enjoy those things, that's when it becomes something that is really fulfilling. And so that's something that we try to impart on the young people that we work with now. Is it's I know you want that scholarship, I know you want what's going to come at the end, but just enjoy what you're doing to get there, and
Right.
that's going to last a long time. So there's the challenges prior to COVID, and then obviously after COVID, it's been really challenging, because like you mentioned on some of those other aspects of, losing your senior year activities, losing your athletic, losing your sport for that year or whatever the case may be. There's been so many things along with just the isolation part of it, students really being at home. The mental health aspect is huge, and I know it's a buzzword, it's a topic, but I believe that it's something that our young men and women are really dealing with and struggling with nowadays. And we have to be aware of it. And there's so many more resources and different things available now than there was before. So I just think a combination of social media, along with obviously what COVID has done to our world, it makes it for working with a different type of young man and women that we may have worked with 15 years ago, 20 years ago.
You and I had a brief conversation on the driving range one day about a mutual like for a Netflix series called Last Chance U.
Absolutely.
And you said that you could relate completely with what was the school that the football episode
So
follow? Do you remember?
yeah, so there was the first one, which is East Mississippi,
Okay.
which funny enough, when I was coaching at Arizona Western College, we played against them
Oh, really?
in the national championship bowl game. And then after that there was Independence College, and then the last one they did was in Northern California, which was in Laney at Laney
Gotcha.
College in Oakland.
I follow the basketball
Mhm,
episodes, and
mhm.
it's East Los Angeles College,
Yep, he's still
and
in.
I just love the show, and I love how it portrays. Then I'm sure the other shows are similar, where those coaches are taking sometimes difficult and troubled kids
Oh,
and
absolutely.
working them to overcome whatever the challenges that life has brought them to become successful and to become disciplined people and go on to have success, not just in basketball or football, but in life.
Yeah. So,
Has that been your story too in working with some kids?
yeah, yeah. There's when you're coaching, really all sports, but specifically football. I've heard a lot of people say that you're coaching and working with one of the most at-risk populations in the world.
Wow.
And I think what's meant by that is, a lot of the young men and women that we work with, they come from rough home lives. They come from difficult situations, and so a lot of that was displayed, obviously, on all of the episodes and you know on Netflix. But it really just kind of shines a light on the coaches to me, because I think they're just underappreciated.
Mm,
Coaches don't make a ton of money. They don't have all the notoriety and all those different things that the Division I coaches and pro coaches have, but they are just as important, in my opinion, sometimes even more, because they are, really just great people,
right,
for what they do on a daily basis. And these young
right,
men and women, the lives they change, and all the things that they're going through to help them.
right.
Um it's 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 just, it's you gotta speak about it. You gotta acknowledge it. And those that don't know, if you do watch some of those Netflix series, it really will give you some insight to it. But there's been a lot of different circumstances, of experiences I've had working with primarily young men, that, again, rough home lives, that have made it out of those situations, and some haven't. There's a young man, that I could think of, really really offhand right now, that we were together at Chaffey College. And the young man came in real, kind of rough around the edges in regards to his academics. Really was gonna coming in. We knew that it was gonna take some work to get this young man on track. And with that being said, first semester not great, just like we anticipated. We didn't think it was gonna be great, and it wasn't. We had a meeting with him, his parents, or really just his mom afterwards, and we saw a gradual change. We saw a gradual change with this young man, and he ended up earning himself a scholarship to a Division I school, and he's coaching now. And
Wow.
I was able to see him most recently, probably a couple of years ago. There's the American Football Coaches Association, which is the biggest coaches convention that in America. And just kind of being there, and all of a sudden ran into him, right? And so those moments that you see those things happen, I mean, it's really why we do it. We all want to, win games and do all those things. That's fun. That's the fun part. But the true fulfilling part of it is seeing these young men and women graduate and do stuff with their lives and things of that nature. So that young man is just one example of a lot of different situations and circumstances I've had the ability to help impact, young men and women get to their goals and do the things that they wish to do. And that's why we do this.
Well, I think the truth is, coach, that the best coaches, it's not about themselves, it's about those young people that they're teaching. And
Absolutely.
it's really not ultimately about football, because even if you have the most successful football career, there's a limited amount of time in your life that you're going to be able to, you know, engage in the sport before father time. Father time's undefeated, coach.
Absolutely.
Father time's undefeated. So at some point, you have to go beyond whatever the sport is and become a productive adult after you're done playing. And that is the role of a coach, is to help people do that. And I know that you've done that.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, no, and again, we're looking to continue that here at VVC. A lot of the young men and women here in the high desert just need some hope. They just
Right.
need some belief, that they can do some things, and you'll be surprised with things you see after that.
In our conversation, you said you wanted the chance to promote some things about the school. So
Yeah.
what is it that's on your mind and on your heart?
Yeah, well, I took over here in June of 22 here as the athletic director, and one of the biggest tasks that I had coming in was to increase enrollment here. We want everyone to understand that there's some positive things going on here at our college. Obviously, with our football, soccer stadium and event center that's being built right now.
Wow.
Those that if you're able to pass by the school at all, you can see that buildings are going up. We're getting ready to lay down some turf and put the bleachers up and things of that nature, and we're expecting that to be done sometime by the end of this year. So we
Wow.
won't play in it this season unless something crazy happens, and maybe we can get a game towards the end of the year. We're not banking on that, but after that, we'll have the opportunity to play in our brand new stadium, which Victor Valley College has never had a stadium before. And so that's something that is exciting, along with, some of the other things that we have going on. We have a brand new weight room that was just recently not built, but we used one of the buildings that was here, and we installed a new weight room with brand new equipment, top state-of-the-art, top-notch equipment that you'd find at the Division I schools and places like that. We have it here. So when we bring young men and women on a visit on our campus now compared to what it was before, they're going to see some definite differences in what it looks like and the things that we can provide for them for their development.
Very nice.
Yeah.
And so, we've got your contact info there if anybody wants to reach out and ask Coach questions. But so last thing we're going to do today before we get you out of here is we're going to do a rapid fire set. We're going to have some fun. You ready?
Let's do it.
Here we go, Coach. What is your favorite color and
favorite what?
Your favorite color and why?
Okay. Maroon. And that's because Victor Valley College's primary color is maroon.
Oh, good answer. All right. Favorite dessert?
Favorite dessert, ice cream.
Good answer. Okay, follow-up question to that. Favorite flavor of ice cream?
Favorite flavor. Okay, let's go with cookies and cream.
Great choice. Last movie you watched?
Last movie I watched. Ooh, that's a good one because I don't really watch a whole lot of movies. You know what I actually watched? I guess you could call it a movie. It was on Netflix. Chris Rock just did a brand new stand-up, and I watched Chris Rock stand-up.
Yeah, I watched it last night. He's not afraid, is he?
He's not afraid at all.
He's not afraid. All right. If you could afford any car, what would it be?
Ooh. I'm not really I'm not into, crazy vehicles. So maybe the Tesla Model S. I have a Model 3, so maybe the Model S would be good.
All right, good. Dream vacation?
Hawaii. I've never been to Hawaii, and I want to go there.
Hawaii's nice. I especially enjoyed Oahu, but yeah, hope you get to do that. So what celebrity annoyed you the most?
Annoy me? That's tough because I'm not really a person that gets annoyed. Let me just say maybe Skip Bayless because some of his takes are ridiculous, and so I would say maybe Skip Bayless.
How about this question? How many pairs of shoes do you own?
I have no clue, but I would guess probably around 20.
More than one, huh? Oh boy. Hey, what is your go-to snack?
Go-to snack would be chips, maybe.
Okay. And your least favorite holiday?
Halloween.
Yeah, me too, man. Great answer, Coach. Listen, you've been a pleasure to be on. We hope to have you on another time. and we will get this out and share it to everybody. And if you've got some people in your sphere that you'd like to get this information to, feel free to share it. But hope you have a great rest of your Monday, and thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Love everything you're doing. I'm sure I'll see you on the course here pretty soon.
You're the man. We'll see you out there. Let's tee it up soon.
All right.
All right. Talk to you soon, Coach. Coach Artie Allen, he's doing God's work there at Victor Valley College, working with young people. Let's get to the market update. Before we do that, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. This is what increases our influence and gains our audience, so we appreciate you doing that. All right, let's look at the weekly market, the housing market update. This is for the week of March 6th, 2023. Last 30 days sold 263. That is significantly up from last week. So the market's starting to move, and the median sale price of those homes was $400,000. If you take a look at year over year, interesting to note, this is the first time since we've been doing that the same period last year, we sold 257 homes at a median sale price of $415,000. So the sale price was a little higher at 4% a year ago, but we are actually up this year by 6 homes. So we sold 6 homes in the same period this year as we did last year. These are encouraging signs in the market. In escrow, we have 466 homes in escrow. That's down 5% since last week. But here it is, active listings, 780 homes. So the market's getting tighter and tighter and tighter with the active listings. Current interest rate is hasn't changed. This is per Pride Stromsit at Vintage Lending. Spit it out, Brian. This is a standard FHA fixed, 30-year fixed. If you've got a 660 FICO or so, you're going to be at 5.875% to 6%, and that's going to vary depending on your loan type and your the credit and so on and so forth. All right, time to get for the segment called Check This Out. And we kind of already talked about this, but if you get a chance, get over to Netflix and check out Last Chance U. I especially enjoyed the basketball episodes and the work that the coach down there, who I hope to meet one day, is doing with young people. All right, fam, that's it for today's episode of the Brian Hirsch Show. We appreciate you joining in, and we look forward to seeing you again next week. In the meantime, have a great week, and we're serving your dreams. Talk to you soon.